Hey there race fans, welcome to race number 1 of the Pro GT Supersport Championship. Here are your teams in alphabetical order. Team Chevrolet will be driven by Dan Zelos and Nick Hellstead. Team Dodge will be driven by Bobby Thompson and Adam Morgan. Team Ferrari will be driven by Charles Rainford and Aidan Moffat. Team Shelby Ford will be driven by Dan Camish and Daniel Rowbottom. Team Jaguar will be driven by Max Hall and Nick Hamilton. Team Maserati will be driven by Matt Muttley and Vic Norman. Team Mitsubishi will be driven by Rob Huff and Colin Turkington. Team Nissan will be driven by Tom Chilton and Chris Smiley. Team Porsche will be driven by Jake Hill and Daryl DeLeon. And finally, Team Toyota will be driven by Gordon Shedden and Aaron Tyler Smith. Now, let's get racing. And here we go, guys. The race is about to get started. Gordon Shedden leading the way down the start finish, straight in the Crown Athlete. Wow, Aidan Moffat straight into the lead in the Ferrari. Got Matt Muttley in the Maserati right down the inside, moving into third position. Whole gaggle of cars coming through there. The Mustangs are really looking good. Daniel Rowbottom in second in the Menard's Mustang. That is the Ford Mustang. The other one behind him, the white and yellow, is the Shelby Mustang. But at the moment, it's Aidan Moffat absolutely galloping away in the Ferrari, with the Fords chasing. A big gaggle of cars behind him. Daniel Rowbottom sliding that Mustang around the corner, with Matt Muttley tucking in behind him in the Maserati MC20. We're going to focus on this battle right now because Aidan Moffat is absolutely running away with that Ferrari, so we'll keep an eye on the action here with Daniel Rowbottom closely followed by Matt Muttley, and it's a Maserati sandwich in between the two Ford Mustangs. Oh, Matt Muttley having a look down the inside of Daniel Rowbottom's slithering Mustang as he comes powering out of the corner, and that allows the Chevy of Dan Zelos to catch up some ground while everybody concertinas together trying to miss Rowbottom, but he gets on the power and makes a gap on Matt Muttley. You can see the nose of the car actually just dipping down under braking. Oh, he's really struggling for power. He's getting that back end slid out. As you can see him sliding around the corner. Same thing with the Shelby behind it. That's Camish. That Zelos has got ahead of him with the Shelby. But Daniel Rowbottom trying to reel in Aidan Moffat's Ferrari, but not being able to do so. But Dan Zelos under attack now by Dan Camish. Doesn't seem to have too much of a hassle holding him off, but he's right on the back of Matt Muttley at the moment, taking down the inside. He moves into third position. Matt Muttley forced out wide into the outside, and he tucks in behind Dan Zelos. Zelos really doing well in the Chevy Corvette at the moment. Forced his way into position number 3. But Matt Muttley is going to have a run at getting that back by the look of it, taking down the wider side. But Camish on the attack now too. Matt Muttley under pressure here. Dan Camish gets through. He wants that position back from Zelos. He's definitely got the pace in the Shelby. But still losing ground to the other car at the moment. Zelos moving moving out on ahead, but he's closing the gap on Rowbottom at the moment. So it's the fight between the Chevy and the Fords at the moment, and the Chevy seems to be winning at the moment. He's got past the Shelby, now he's really putting the pressure on Daniel Rowbottom. You can see them coming through to the next turn. The Mustang definitely looks a lot heavier up front for some reason. Oh, that's almost a cut by Zelos. They're side by side now, but Rowbottom seems to have the better line coming out of the corner and manages to keep the Ford Mustang out front. Zelos biding his time. Rowbottom sliding the back end of that Mustang out again. I wonder if that is going to end up being a problem for him with tyre wear, because he's really spinning those back wheels out quite frequently, and that is definitely going to be a bit of a problem for him as far as timing is concerned, because he's going to need to come in and get those tyres sorted out a lot sooner than anybody else by the look of it. Just watch him, he manages to keep it in check that time around, but Dan Zelos still biding his time there. It looks like he's just holding back a little bit, probably waiting for Rowbottom to make a mistake. It looks like he might actually end up doing that, because that Mustang really looks loose on the back end. Camish though holding in. Oh wow, Zelos almost getting in the back of Rowbottom's Mustang, parking the Chevy inside the exhaust, but Zelos is having a good day of it, and making no bones about putting the pressure on the other drivers. But Camish now flying through. Camish with the quickest lap of the race as he comes up side by side with Zelos. Zelos looks like he might be out braking him into that corner, but he's on the outside now. Camish takes the inside. Oh, faster line around the outside for the Chevy. Dan Camish has to settle back into fourth. Matt Muttley now seeing if he can get his own back, trying to get past the Shelby, but it's all Aidan Moffat at the moment. Nobody seems to be anywhere close to being able to overtake him. He's just taking everything in his stride. He's got nice clean air up front, so it's going to be an easy one for him. He hasn't got to deal with much attacking at the moment either. Hasn't had to deal with any at all up until now. The Ferrari just really quick off the line, and hasn't had any competition thus far. But whoa, Rowbottom sliding that back end out again, and Zelos has got to take advantage of that sometime or other. He's definitely going to be watching that, and he'll probably take it. There it is again. Rowbottom sliding it out. Zelos biding his time. It looks like it's going to be one of those nip and tuck races, so Rowbottom will inevitably slide it out, and Zelos will neatly tuck in and take the inside line. So that's what I'm predicting. At any rate, it's probably what is going to happen by the look of it. Moffat though out in the lead, not really making too much of a gap on Rowbottom at the moment, keeping that gap pretty constant, staying out front, probably trying to save fuel as well, knowing that the car's got a decent amount of power, so he doesn't really need to push it if he can stay ahead without much effort. There they are, the top four pretty close together. You have to see Max Hall coming in, but Dan Camish, quickest man on the track, going in for an early pit stop. I don't know why he's doing that. Maybe we should stick with him and just see what's going on there. He'll be coming into the pits now. There he is. Not sure. He's not putting tyres on. He's just coming in for a splash and dash. So obviously he's got his fuel strategy worked out. But he's come out in P20, but obviously everybody else has got a pit. So I'm going to keep our eyes on him and see how he's going to do here, because I think what his strategy is, he's going to try to leapfrog everybody as they go into pit. But he's got me in front of him, running in last position in the in 19th position, I should say, in the Maserati Gran Turismo S. Just tucking in and staying at the back with the Maserati. But Camish definitely capable of winning. I'm just interested in seeing what his strategy is, because with the 2:16.621 he's set the quickest lap of the race, so he's definitely got an extra point already because of that, if he can hang on to that. And oh, there I go, off the track. Maserati off the track. Dan Camish into position number 19, an easy overtake. No effort needed there. As now he approaches the back end of Rob Huff, who's driving the Mitsubishi Evo 10. There I am, back on the track again, trying to make the ground back up again. Doesn't appear to have been a very good start for me back into P20 after that spin out, but we'll see how we go. The Maserati is a very formidable vehicle, but in driving it I was finding that it was quite powerful, and its low down torque was pretty good, so I was having to fight the car quite a lot with the rear coming out under power, so having to gear into really low gear positions. Yeah, here it comes. We've got Zelos, Moffat and Daniel Rowbottom, the leading cars in the pits at the moment, and here comes Dan Camish onto he's about to enter the start-finish straight. Let's see if he can get ahead of those cars. Let's see where he ends up. There I am in P20 following Dan Camish. Looks like I might be making up some ground on these cars, but yeah, definitely a few cars up. Camish now into 13th, down the inside of Rob Huff, and it's going to be in between Rob Huff and the cars coming out of the pits. There he is, right next to his teammate now, Daniel Rowbottom. I think that was probably the idea, trying to get ahead of his teammate, and just not able to do it. So Daniel Rowbottom running into the pits. They probably had team rules, so not allowed to fight it out. So maybe he's thinking, well, if I can get ahead of him with the pit stops, then he's not allowed to fight with me, so he has to stay behind. But Daniel Rowbottom obviously maybe wise to the fact that that was what was going to happen. So now we've got a battle between the two Mustangs at the moment. It doesn't look like there are team rules, because they are really going for it there between the two of them. But Dan Camish still with the quickest lap of the race, so he's definitely quicker. But will he be able to fight his way past his teammate? Because whoa, they're both sliding the rear ends out now, both getting on the power. Matt Muttley still behind Dan Camish as well, so he did slot in perfectly in between Rowbottom and Muttley. Muttley sliding the back end of the Maserati out now, and there I am, 2 cars behind Muttley, behind the other Maserati, so making up some ground as well with the pit stops. But let's have a look at these two Mustangs and see how they end up. If they are going to be able to switch those two positions, because I think the pressure is on Shelby, on the Shelby, with Dan Camish behind the wheel, actually, because obviously the Shelby's created the performance versions of the Fords, so all the pressure is on that car to make sure he gets ahead of his teammates and keeps that legacy going. But wow, I've come through the inside of my teammate, pushing Matt Muttley into P13. More guys going into the pits now as we watch the Mustangs sliding around the corner. Lots and lots of pit stops happening, and there's me behind the two Mustangs at the moment. Rowbottom and Camish. Zelos now leading the race in the Chevy Corvette, which I'm not particularly surprised by. So he's obviously had a quicker pit stop as well. So we've got a Corvette out front, two Mustangs behind, two Maseratis behind that. So it's looking like it's going to be a true battle of the manufacturers, which is what we wanted to see. But yeah, the Fords are definitely looking like they've got ample power, maybe a little bit too much grunt coming out of the corners. They are really struggling to put the power down around the bends. Let's see if I can do anything about that with the Maserati. The two Fords, slithering Fords. I also went out a little bit wide with the Maserati there too, so maybe also having a similar problem. Well, I was definitely having a similar problem. There we go. Oh, Matt Muttley losing his place to the Jaguar through the turn. But you know, it's putting some pressure on Camish. Camish putting pressure on Rowbottom. Oh, the two Mustangs virtually side by side. Down the inside I went. Let's see. Yep, got past the Shelby. Now on the tail of the Mustang. The Ford Mustang, I should say. Two Mustangs out there. The supercharger of the Jaguar. You can hear that squealing as it came past. Down the outside, will I be able to take the inside line here? Ooh, very, very risky move coming that close to the other cars through that chicane area. Oh, the ZL1 off the track and sliding around. We've got a yellow flag behind us. I've gone into the pits. Rowbottom in second. And that means Camish has gone into the pits. Rowbottom stays out behind Dan Zelos. I think this is going to be interesting because it looks like Dan Camish is going to be trying that same move again. There we can see the ZL1. He's got it back on the track. Rowbottom getting the power down, slithering the Mustang around. Going to try to make up as much ground as possible and keep the Mustang ahead of the Ford Mustang ahead of the Shelby Mustang when it comes to his pit stop. If he's going to even take a second one, that is going to be interesting because we don't know if they're on the same strategy. Obviously they're not, with them going in at different times, so it is going to be quite interesting to see as we see him slithering that back end out again. And the Jaguar creeping closer and closer. Matt Muttley's going to want to be getting past that car to Max Hall. Oh, Max Hall slithering the Jaguar out now too. Seems like everybody's having a bit of an issue with too much power on the back end. Rowbottom in second. Max Hall right on his tail now with the Jaguar F-Type. Will he be able to get the HSBC Jaguar ahead of that Mustang? If he can do that, it might make all the difference to Camish's race. I don't know how that is going to work out, but at the moment, Rowbottom's still sticking in second. He's able to keep it there. The 911 Porsche right next to the red Ferrari. Behind there. Sticking with Rowbottom though. We want to see what happens up front here. Dan Zelos rounds the corners. Jaguar is really having a look down the outside, which is now going to be the inside onto the start-finish straight. Rowbottom slithering that back end out again. Max Hall looks like he's had a better run out of the corner, but will he be able to get around the Ford Mustang? Doesn't look like it. The Mustang has got some good legs on it down that straight. Max Hall. Oh, Aidan Moffat overtakes Matt Muttley. The Italian supercars fighting it out. Ferrari's looking like they might have the edge on the Maseratis. British muscle now chasing the American muscle, and it looks like the Ferrari is going to be having a look at getting in front of the Jaguar. Max Hall forced wide because the Ferrari was in the inside line there, and Aidan Moffat gets through. Aidan into P3. Quick wipe of the wipers there. I'm not sure what that was about. Doesn't look like there's any rain out there. But he's looking to get that position back. Ford slides it out. Aidan Moffat can't get around the outside because the Mustang is sideways. And here we go. Oh, Matt Muttley back past the Ferrari. Nice work by Matt Muttley there. Squeezing Aidan Moffat out. I might have to eat my words. I thought the Ferraris were edging it out on the Maseratis. Matt Muttley saying, I'm not having that. Right back around Aidan Moffat and back onto the tail end of the Mustang of Daniel Rowbottom. I'm trying to see where Kamish is. I think we'll only probably find out once the other cars go into the pits, if they do. Has Kamish made a mistake with his pit stop strategy? He was running so tightly behind Rowbottom and then went in for a second pit stop, and now is nowhere to be seen. Here we go. Muttley looking like he's hanging in nicely with that Ford. Aidan Moffat. We'll see if he can take that position back from Muttley. The Maserati looking dangerous on acceleration there, really quick, having to brake and avoid slamming into the back of the Mustang. Jake Hill now takes the lead of the race in the Porsche while everybody else goes into the pits. Jake Hill in the Porsche, Bobby Thompson in the Dunlop Dodge Viper behind him, quite a ways back actually. But here we are with Jake Hill, another lead change for us. That Porsche sounds lovely. That Porsche sounds amazing. So the Dodge Viper quite a ways back. So we are 20 minutes into this 25-minute race. So less than 5 minutes remaining before the race cuts off. And there's the other Porsche, the 918 Spider behind the Dodge. Will we see some action here? And behind him is Nick Hamilton. Hamilton driving the XJ220 Jaguar. That's a beautiful piece of equipment, that Jaguar. Oh, De Leon down the inside takes Bobby Thompson with ease. And now we've got the two Porsches together in position 2 and 3. Oh, 1 and 2, I should say. Nick Hamilton looking like he wants to get the old Jaguar past the Dodge Viper as well. We'll see if he's got enough oomph to do that. Big heavy car, that old Jaguar, but it has so much power to compensate. Let's see how we do here. Really tightly packed together, these three cars. Really using all the track. Getting it out nice and wide. Daryl De Leon trying to catch up with his teammates. .918 Spider screaming down the straight with the Dodge behind him and the Jaguar behind him. So, Kamish still holding the quickest lap of the race though, to 16.621. That hasn't changed. De Leon looking like he's having to brake quite early with the Porsche. He has had to reduce the power of this car somewhat to make sure it met the parameters for this race. So has that hurt him? It looks like it may have, because there comes Bobby Thompson with the Dodge flying right past again. That was some overtake. Bobby Thompson into second. Daryl De Leon drops back into third again. Nick Hamilton now back on the back of the 918 Spider in the old Jaguar, the XJ220, hanging on, really holding its own out here, but it's There's our race leader for the time being, at least. Jake Hill. We never know what's going to happen in these races. Not much time left though. 22, well, almost 23 minutes gone. So at least 2 laps left. And there he goes. Is this going to be a shock win for Jake Hill, who is actually nowhere up in the front up until now? That has he timed his pit stops well enough to make sure he can win this race. The field kind of split up quite substantially if you look at the mini map on the top right hand of the screen, but that has obviously got to do with pit stops too. So are these guys up front and needed to go in still? And that would be rather unfortunate for them, seeing that it's almost the end of the race. A minute and a half left, which means they should pass the start finish line possibly and run the next lap before they finish up. So if Jake Hill keeps it out here, then it is quite possible that he'll win the race. That is going to be one interesting thing to watch. But it's Daryl DeLeon though, still trying to get the better of the Dunlop Dodge Viper after Bobby Thompson came screaming past him on the straight. Hasn't seemed to make up the ground. Looks like he's actually lost some. So I'm not sure what's going on with the Porsches. Oh, Bobby Thompson has closed the gap significantly on Jake Hill. And here we go. Oh, they're going in. Who's going to stay out? That is the question. Who is going to stay out? Oh, right. It's me in the Maserati. I've obviously timed my pit stops differently. I am now leading the race. And there's only 5 seconds left of the race. There we go. 25 minutes is up. So whoever crosses the line first will win. And I have been struggling with this car with the hard tyres. And there we go. Zelos, a very, very, very quick driver in that Chevy Corvette. Now behind me with my teammate Matt Mutley right behind him. Daniel Rowbottom all the way down in 8th position. I don't know where Camish is, but their pit stops have obviously left them in the lurch. Not quite the strategy to use, whatever they did. But at the moment, it looks like I may end up winning this race if I can keep the Maserati planted on the road and keep it in check around the corners, because it really, really fights you when you put your foot down on the corners. Having to be a little bit too careful. Dan Zelos not looking like he's being too careful. He wants that spot back. And you can see the ZL1 not too far behind him too. So the 2 Chevys looking like they are going to be the top contenders for this race. Top finishers at least. All around the outside using the curbs. Here we go. Wow, Zelos has closed the gap significantly. What a massive surge of racing by him. And here he is in the slipstream behind me. Matt Mutley right behind him. Trying to go defensive here, block the Chevy. But Dan Zelos is one heck of a driver, so I'm not sure. Looks like I've got it done. Coming up to the chicane area now. Take the inside line, but now I'm on the outside. Dan Zelos takes the opportunity and he hops it through. And oh man, Dan Zelos steals the win. 2 Maseratis in tow. Me and Matt Mutley, Jake Hill in 4th, Nick Halstead 5th, Bobby Thompson 6th, then Max Hall, then Nick Hamilton, Daniel Rowbottom, Aidan Moffat, Daryl DeLeon, Adam Morgan, Colin Turkington in 13th, but he's in the pits, as is Tom Chilton, as is Aaron Tyler Smith, as is Chris Smiley. Man, Charles Rainsford in the Ferrari running in 17th, Camish all the way down in 18th after leading most or being right up in the front of the race for most of the time out there. Man, a bit of a disaster out there for the Fords today. We'll have a look at where they ended up. Ninth for Daniel Rowbottom, and 18th for Dan Camish, with with Rob Huff finishing up in 19th in the Evo 9, and the person Gordon Shedden, who started off in P1 in the Crown Athlete, ends up finishing in P20. So wow, what a race! What a race! I really thought I might have had that, but Zelos, man, what a driver! Taking it on the second to last corner and just leaving me with no other options. I couldn't get the Maserati through. Had to fight Matt Mudley off as well. It ended up taking second by 0.3 of a second. So, but what a race! So we'll get the points sorted out, and we'll announce what the points are for the teams at the start of the next race. But until next time, guys, we'll be at Lago Maggiore in Italy for race number 2. So drive safely, take care. We'll see you on the track.